With Geordie New Year's Eve live stream. I hope you've all had a fabulous holiday and are looking forward to the new year and all the things that are going to change in the new year for you. Do we still? I don't think we do New Year's resolutions anymore. I think they're renamed as like New Year's. I've lost it. I heard it on the radio the other day. Anyway, I hope you've all had happy holidays and are looking forward to a happy new year. So I'm going to have a quick look at who's here and who may be asking questions. One of the first questions I saw before I came live is which boat I'm on, and you can probably figure out that I'm aboard Jordy in Victoria Harbour, where I have spent the bulk of the holidays. What do we got going on here? Hello, hello, hello to all of you. Matt's here. Harold. Hellbound Grinnin. That's a great name. I love it. I'd have a beer with you, but I've got rum, but too early for me to start. Well, that's fair because people are tuning in from all over. That's going to have to go. I'm going to try to quit smoking cigs this year. Well, that would be a great thing. Absolutely. I actually never smoked for some strange reason. I grew up in the 60s and the 70s in Montreal. Everyone I knew smoked, and somehow I never did. What else we got to go? Chicago Boating and Sea-Doo Jumping. What a name. What's with the haircut? Well, it's about time, isn't it? As a new year coming, and Lady Zephyrus was kind enough to give me a quick trim just before I went live to see you all. So yes, I am starting the new year looking slightly more well-kempt. We'll see how long that will last. So what do we got going on here? Dana, hi Peter. Hey, how are you, Dana? Good to hear from you. Tom, hello from Colorado. Ollie, hey Peter from New Hampshire. Hellbound says, looking dapper. Well, thank you very much. Russell, in a small village near Canterbury, Kent, England. Well, that sounds absolutely delightful. I could go for that. Well, anyway, I'm very, very glad that you've all joined in, and I realize New Year's Eve, it can be a very, very busy time. But because Saturday fell on New Year's Eve, for at least us in this part of the world, I apologize to you who are well ahead of us in terms of time. I thought it might be appropriate because we haven't done a live stream in a while, therefore we haven't answered some questions in a while, and I'm sure there are many, especially about, strange upcoming. So let me have a quick look at what's rolling in here now. Louis, hi Peter, cheers from Portugal. Russell again is, it's starting to move pretty quick. Henri and Andel, hi from the Netherlands. John from Hamilton, Ontario. Craig, Lancaster. My people are from Lancashire, actually. Actually, not quite. Nearby, Burnley. Michael, Peter from Melbourne, Australia. Well, I appreciate you checking in, Michael, from Melbourne, because I realize it's not a very convenient time for you to do that. Russell, when is the bronze forehatch being fitted? Excellent, good question. I have a lead on a number of bronze Chris Craft style forehatches that will replace this rather messy thing that I have here. And I haven't actually set any of those up yet, but as soon as I get my hands on one, that will be an upcoming project because it's getting hard to keep this thing functional. And what I mean by functional is leak-free. It's got more Sikaflex on it now than I think there might be wood. Jumping back, Richard from New Mexico. Hello, Richard. Wee man, hip hop from Ireland. Good to see you. Let's go outdoors. Happy New Year's from Edmonton. Winger 1100. Hi from Florida. Love your work. Thank you ever so much. David from Tofino. Hey, hi in Tofino. Now, David, Tofino. I just heard in the news that shelter burned down. I realize this doesn't relate to too many other people, but oh my gosh, Shelter, my favorite restaurant perhaps on this island. I'm so sorry to hear from you about that. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, a fabulous restaurant in the little village of Tofino on the west coast of British Columbia recently burned down, which is very, very sad. Craig, I didn't recognize you from the haircut. It's funny, as I was setting the camera up to see if I was in frame, I'm going, who's that guy? I don't even know who that is. Andy, hi from Wisconsin. Have you considered hybrid powertrain for POM? Electric motor with batteries and a DC generator sounds compelling. Yes! Well, I figured that question would be coming, and it has come in the past, and I've talked about it, but perhaps there's enough new viewers that I can answer that question again. Yes, The reason I would consider hybrid is because it's really the only option. As I may have alluded, I'm working on sort of a larger, more documentary style episode about the feasibility of electrifying small cruisers. I think I've already said, spoiler alert, it's not, but that's got nothing to do with the batteries or the will or the excitement around, I mean the motors or the will or the excitement around it. It has to do with batteries. And you just can't carry enough batteries to get what I would consider reasonable range. And that's the important thing here. Like if you're building a boat that's going to do little short hop day cruises, like 100 yards from here, there's a tour boat that's fully electric that zips around the harbor, you know, in an hour at a time and charges up again. So there are plenty of ways to go electric. Now, jumping to the question, hybrid, yes, of course, it makes total sense. Not too many batteries and have a generator that keeps the batteries topped up and gives you extended range. The only problem with that is, really, you're still just burning diesel to move. Yes, you might be able to slip out of a dock quietly or into a mooring quietly, but the bulk of your generation is going to be by burning diesel. So you're just burning diesel to make electricity, to store it, to put it into a motor, to give you propulsion. And on a small boat, and especially with a limited budget, I actually don't see the logic in it. Although it would work and it would be practical, and if you were determined to have an electric motor in your boat, that would be the way to do it. So that's the nutshell answer. Stay tuned for the long version of that. If I jump back a bit, I didn't recognize yet. Happy New Year from Michael. Are you still planning to cruise the English waterways one day? Asked Craig. Yes, I definitely am. Obviously, as much as is feasible with Jordy or possibly Poem or both. Who knows? But then, of course, the narrow canals, I'll be limited to a narrowboat, which is how I will end my days, most definitely. Mike, hi from Mike and Leslie from St. Andrews, New Brunswick. St. Andrews, lovely little town. Love it. John, are you partying across the road tonight? Peter, you mean at the Empress Hotel? You mean up there? No, I'm not partying at the Empress Hotel tonight. I think the starter base plate for that event is in the many hundreds of dollars. No, quiet evening aboard with some friends. And I think that will suit just fine. You're parking across the road. Roaming for life. Happy New Year, dear friend. It's Lloyd. Thank you ever so much, Lloyd. Glad to see you here. How are you? Thanks for the answer, says Andy. I appreciate that. So I imagine, there's still a lot of people wondering, of course, about Poem and what I'm going to do with Poem. And I think I've said this enough times that I don't really know, but some things are starting to emerge, definitely. As I develop the design for it and the design for the interior, yes, there's certainly been some concerns about trying to pack too much into it, and that's possible. But I think it's really, if you look carefully at what I've designed, it's a boat for two with overflow for another two in extreme cases. But it's designed for two who can have dinner guests. That's why you can seat four. Which means I think that's fairly appropriate for the size of boat it is. It's being designed for short stopovers, for short stays, weekends, long weekends, maybe as long as a week. But that much is pretty much a given. What ends up happening with it has a lot more to do with available moorage than what my intention is. The huge problem about keeping a boat on this coast, the south coast of British Columbia, is finding moorage. And if I was looking for moorage where I was able to, let's say, run it as a commercial project where people could come aboard and say pay for it, like say Airbnb, that gets 10 times more complicated. So exactly how that's all going to work, I still don't know. But I'm getting more and more excited about having people aboard, either just as stays on a dock in a nice place, like let's say Victoria or Lund or someplace like that, or as short weekend cruises, possibly buddy cruising. So everything is looking really, really exciting. Exactly how it's going to happen, I'm really not quite sure yet. So, but there'll be lots more of that in the near future. Russell, diesel rules dinosaurs squeezing, as Mads would say. The technology is still not quite there for electric power. If you mean by the technology battery chemistry, yes. The motors are getting amazing. I think for my little episode I've documented, there are now 27 at least companies making specialized electric motors for marine, for boats. Many of them are much too big for, let's say, Poem. And there are lots of companies that are specializing in building electric boats. There is a fever pitch to get to electric boating. Whether or not that's feasible, practical, in everyone's sense, it's certainly not. But there are people who are definitely adopting electric boating. Did I say wooden a couple of times? Anyway, electric boating, and it's certainly coming. How quickly it will come to cruisers is a little more debatable, definitely. Hellbound electric on a sailboat would be okay, absolutely perfect. An electric auxiliary for a sailboat that spends most of its cruising day sailing is absolutely perfect. In these waters, a lot of people with sailboats actually don't get to sail as much as they might like. In fact, they could spend a day or two cruising, never actually raising the sails once, which puts them right back in the same category as I'm in, where they're a cruising boat now that is not going to be able to go very far on electric. But if you're pretty sure you could leave, let's say, this dock, quietly, silently, get out, sail all day, come back in, perfect, 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 perfect. Mike and C, Happy New Year, Peter. I'm only a little late. No worries. I mean, there's no late in anything, I'm sure. DW Dumkowski. I'm sorry if I messed him up. Happy New Year from Sydney. Our Sydney right here. If so, hello, neighbor. Mike's Big Adventure. Where did you get your wood for the boat? Excellent, excellent question. Almost all the wood I use on the boat comes from a local distributor called West Wind Hardwood in Sydney, British Columbia. Up Saanich, British Columbia. They're a fabulous family-operated business that has all the sapelli mahogany, all the sapelli and marine plywoods, all the yellow cedar. In fact, I was there just the other day. I picked up 6 sheets of assorted marine plywoods and drove them up to the shed. So we're ready to get started on POEM for the sole and bulkheads and all kinds of stuff. Transporting plywood, you have to do it on dry days, and it's a long drive, so I wanted to get that done while I had the opportunity. Enough to say, I also ordered the yellow cedar planking that will be used for the last 2 remaining garboard planks here aboard Jordy. It's very likely and almost a sure thing that I'll be doing a haul out this spring with Jordy to replace those last 2 garboard planks, which is one of the things I was going to talk about here today. Because of the availability of the wood. It's not always available. Clear Alaskan yellow cedar in large planks is very, very rare, hard to find and quite expensive, but I have secured enough for this summer's project, which will mean the bottom of Jordy has no suspect spots anymore. The only thing that I'm not really happy with right now is those 2 forward garboards, and they'll be dealt with, so I'm super excited about that. So if you are in the neighborhood, in fact I think they ship all over the world, West Wind Hardwood in Sydney, British Columbia, absolutely a godsend for people doing work like this around here. So there you go. You have a booger in your starboard knot. I think, Cliff, is it just a requirement to say that during a live stream? I mean, I'm going to grab it off screen just in case you're telling the truth. No. Okay, let me jump back a bit. Where to get you wood? POEM would be an ideal candidate for an Arduino-based electronic system instead of an overpriced Raymarine stuff. Michael, that's very, very interesting. And Arduino-based electronics, you mean including navigation electronics and radio electronics and depth sounder? Anyway, that's interesting. It's something I'm going to have to look into. I have friends that are well versed in Arduino and stuff like that, so I'll definitely look into that. POEM for now won't have much in the way of complex electronics because it's not going to move all that much, at least right away. But that's good to know. Cliff reminds me to clean off that booger. I hope I got it. I can't, whatever. DW, yes, our Sydney, BC. Well, great to see you then, neighbor. Gary, Fairbrother, haven't heard from you in a while. How are you? Whoa, the hair. Young whippersnapper. Happy New Year from Presque, Wisconsin. Well, good to see that you're here, and I hope you're having a happy New Year's Eve. Ivor, holiday greetings from Seattle. Lovely sister city. Are we sister cities? I think of us as sister cities, seeing as the Clipper that leaves right here every few hours goes straight to Seattle. Russell, maybe another crowdfund so we can buy POEM a new diesel engine. I'm in for that. Well, thank you very much for saying that, Russell. I think I have said with enthusiasm many times that I feel very uncomfortable about another crowdfunding campaign to fund the engine for POEM. And I'll just describe quickly why that is. Mostly it's because I'm the gratitude I have for the crowdfunding that paid for the engine for Jordy is that this boat is my home, and it's everything. I need it to live in and carry on and travel, and all my dreams are based on this boat. And I was in a really rough situation with the previous engine's going bad. So I think the crowdfunding there, I felt comfortable asking for help there. Poem is a slightly different thing. It's an accessory, you know. And I'm not sure I feel entirely confident. I mean, there is a model definitely for certain people helping with something if there is a clear benefit for them. In other words, if there's a return. So some kind of way perhaps that maybe using the model of crowdfunding, but where, you know, supporters then get a name and a hat for a freebie. I'm not sure. I don't want to completely discount the idea of crowdfunding, but I do feel uncomfortable about it. And I want to make sure that everyone realizes that I see Poem as a luxury to me and to you. I mean, it's an extra. It's not a requirement for me to have a life. So just asking for help with that is very difficult, but not saying that's not the way it'll go. But anyway, we'll see. Michael, yes, Raspberry Pi or Arduino. Well, those are both things that I'm pretty sure that if I was 20 or 40 years younger, I would have loved to play with a little more, like robotics in general, and like, wow, 3D printing? That would be my life if I was significantly younger, but I'm not. Let me jump back again a little bit. Russell, great haircut. Thank you so much. Tommy, hello from New York. I've been vacationing this summer just down from Glasgow. Small world. Excellent. Wonderful stuff he does. And I mean, every day I see that beautiful stained glass he made for me. Fantastic gentleman. Miss Mike's Big Adventure. When will you haul out Poem? Excellent question. Thanks to the lovely care that Poem has had in the year and a bit before I owned it, she's not due for a haul out. Leaks very, very, very little. Has some new planks in the bottom, a lot of new fastening, butt blocks are fixed up, all recocked. This was all done by the great shipwright, my friend Scott, and the boat is in excellent shape below the waterline. It doesn't mean that there are a few things that I might have to look at in the future, and one of them, I'll give you a hot tip, is the rudder gland. If you imagine anything that goes through the hull of a boat, like through hulls, the propeller shaft and the shaft for the rudder are vulnerable for ingress of water. Well, through hulls, all the through hulls in the boat are brand new, thanks to Lloyd getting the very, very, very best. The propeller has a very good solid bronze stuffing box that is completely dripless. Well, I've tightened it up for the winter. It doesn't drip at all, but I can open it up for a drip a minute or whatever it is. However, the rudder post seems to just disappear through a big knee in the cockpit lazarette, and there's a little water weeping out of it. Now, I can't remember when Poem was out of the water if there is a stuffing gland on the bottom, in other words, the ocean side, which I would find very unusual. So the only water that's really leaking into Poem at the moment is actually coming up the rudder shaft, and I don't know if that's going to be an easy fix or if that's something that's going to be a little more complicated. But if I was to do a haul out, that would be the first thing I'd be looking at. The bottom paint on Poem is the absolute premium stuff, and there isn't a speck of growth on it. It's absolutely fantastic. One last thing on haul outs, which to me is very, very interesting. Poem is only 27 feet long, which means it can be hauled out at a lovely little museum marine railway right in Cowichan Bay, which is directly opposite Genoa Bay where it is. Anyone who is familiar with the BC coast know where I'm talking about. It is the Cowichan Bay Maritime Center. It is a museum and society which encourages wooden boat and small boat heritage. They teach kids to build small boats. They have a shop where you can go and become a member and use the shop to build a small wooden dinghy or something. But they also have a ways. Ways is the real word for a marine railway, or another word anyway. And that marine railway is capable of hauling out Poem, which is really nice because then when I haul out Poem, instead of being at a big commercial yard, I can do it at this museum, come in, do a quick bit of work. You can't stay there for long periods because only one boat at a time can be on the railway. But I'm so excited if they'll have me. Anyway, so that's a long-winded answer to that, I realize. Let me flip this over and see where I've caught up again here. growing old and having fun. Oh, isn't it great? The logic from hybrid diesel generation makes sense. If you want to cruise to a location and then putt around on batteries all day, fishing, try kite sailing or electric Bayliner 2650 on my, trying a kite sail on my electric Bayliner 2650 Explorer. Neat. Someone, fine gentleman, I shouldn't name him because I don't know if he wants to be named publicly, but pointed out to me these kites that people are now using to pull boats along. Massive kites. What a neat idea. I mean, you don't need a mast, you don't need rig. I mean, of course, you can only go downwind or relatively close to downwind. But while you're taking advantage of that, wow, that's very, very exciting. If something gets really exciting, you cut away the rig or let go once. I don't know anything about it, but it must be a lot safer than a big spinnaker billowing out in front of you. So that's kind of interesting. Now, on that subject, Pome is going to get a mast and a small fisherman's staysail. For a bunch of reasons. One is getting a mast because it's sort of appropriate for the type of boat it is, and it had one before, with a little boom and a little gaff possibly. And that'll also be used to load some little tiny dinghy that I'm looking for up onto the cabin top to manage the dinghy. But I think I'll also put a little staysail on it. Pome is round-bottomed, very light, and very, very rolly. Very rolly. So a little bit of help with that at sea would be lovely. And if you happen to be running off the wind or downwind a little bit, if you got a little bit of a push with that, wouldn't that be nice as well? So there's a little on that. Okay, let me jump back a little bit. Here. We got a Pome. The logic of the diesel generator does sort of make sense. We'll look into that. Lee Williams, great to see you on Ship Happens. Yeah, it was kind of fun. I mean, what a great project. Lovely remarks. Hope you return next year to get my boats muddy. All the best for 2023. Thank you very much. Keith, good day from Western Australia. Absolutely great to see another Australian check in because I realize it's not a very convenient time. Jennifer White Wolf, greetings all. Well, hello, Jennifer. Marco, do you have many butt blocks that need to be replaced? Happy New Beer. Marco. Okay, when you see do you have any? There technically are 3 boats. I don't know which one you're talking about, but I'll go through them in order. Jordy, every butt block on the boat is either new or in excellent condition and rebolted with through bolts. In other words, not just screws, but carriage bolts that go through with nuts on the inside, galvanized. Yes, that's not bronze, but for those of you who haven't heard my underwater metallurgy opinion, because it's metallurgy in wooden boats is kind of a black art, but I do believe very much in the stick with the same metal that it was born with. In other words, Jordy was fastened with galvanized boat nails. If you add a different metal, you have a different electrolytic potential between those metals. So very much to my fortune, Jordy was made with galvanized boat nails, which are impossible to remove, in other words, so that's not to my good fortune, but refastening is with galvanized screws or bolts, which are very, very cheap compared to bronze, for instance, or even stainless. So all the fastening done in Jordy will be galvanized, and it doesn't last forever, but bolts are not that hard to replace. So if someone in 20, 30 years wants to replace all those butt block bolts, I don't think it would be that disappointing. Okay, Jordy, fully butt blocked. Zephyrus, more directly astern from me. Some of you may remember that all Zephyrus butt blocks have been checked and refastened with screws 90% of the place. A few places they're through bolted, but they were in much better shape than they were on Jordy. Pome, which may be what you're asking about. Pome has many, many fewer butt blocks because in 1927, 28, I can't actually, 38, I can't remember exactly when she was built, strangely. Yeah, pre-war. Wood was much longer, and some of the planks on the boat are almost the full length of the boat, or at least are the full length of the boat, so I can't find nearly as many butt blocks. There are some through the middle of the boat. They're all in really great shape, and they were refastened at that last haul out by Scott. So butt blocks aren't a concern on any of the boats in my realm. Happily, because if you watch the haul out of MV Jordy, butt blocks can get very, very scary. Let's see how we're going on. Gary says, Happy New Year from Wisconsin. Well, Happy New Year to you, Gary, as well. Russell, I understand, but Pome can be used to take underprivileged kids out, etc. It's not just for you. Yes, absolutely. I mean, I don't need another boat. So I like the idea of doing gosh knows what with it. It's a good opportunity to educate people about boating, to introduce people to boating. I love the idea of taking it to boat shows and then having people take little tours on it. I just don't know. That will all develop as I discover its capacity. In other words, what I do about an engine, for instance, and interest. Although there is tons and tons of interest, I get emails at least once a week. People say they would love to come and stay aboard Jordy aboard Poem. How do we arrange that? So there's no shortage of interest. I'm just not quite sure how I'm going to do it. But thanks for keeping up on that. Jennifer, loving the Travels with Geordie shirt I won recently. Thank you so much. Well, you're very, very welcome. I'm glad you like it. Michael says, I'm your age, Pete. Well, congratulations. We made it this far. Exactly. Jeff Knowles. Jeff Knowles. Do I know you, Jeff Knowles? There are not many of us around. Did you know that our surname Knowles means of the wood? It comes from the ancient, I have an arrow in the wrong place nowadays, meaning the worker of the wood. I didn't know that. In fact, in my family, Knowles was of the hill. So that's really interesting. Wow. Well, Jeff, I'm going to keep that in my shirt pocket because that is of the wood, or working with the wood. It's beautiful for what we do around here, isn't it? Okay, I'm just going to do a refresh because I have successfully made a mess of the iPad here and the way all the questions are coming in. Let me try that again. Stephen, Happy New Year soon. Peter from the UK. Well, yeah, very soon for you. Brian, hello Peter, happy holidays from Sacramento. And the same to you, Brian. Dana again. As you know, I'm retired lobsterman, Peter. We used to use a steady sail in the back of the lobster boats to keep the bow of the boat into the wind also. I love it. I know. My time spent in the Maritimes, I just love the way those boys would go out with that steady sail, just keeping, it keeps some of the roll out. It keeps it into the wind. I love the image of it, exactly. So that's really nice that you also have familiarity with that. Mr. Mike's Big Adventures, between the 3 boats you work on, do you have any free time camping with the Range Rover? Just a small correction, it's a Land Rover, not a Range Rover. I only say that because all the Land Rover, Range Rover people are pretty snotty about all that. I'll tell you a story about that in a minute. But anyway, free time, yes, I have some free time. I basically took off a bunch of time over the holidays. You might notice that the last 2 episodes have been 3D renderings, and you might say, it didn't take much time to do that. But actually, it took way more time to do those 3D models and render them than doing an episode's worth of woodwork. But I really wanted to do them anyway. And it's so painful. You spend a week rendering and modeling, and you get 1 minute and 42 seconds worth of content. Because of, there's 30 frames per second, and it takes the computer 8 minutes to render each. Anyway. So there wasn't much free time then. This last week I have taken off completely. We've had guests aboard. We've been doing lots of eating. It's been very festive, and that's going well. Next week I was to return to Poem. However, I'm going to make good on a promise I made to Lady Zephyrus over the last summer, and I'm going to install her new toilet. Toilet tiling in there and tiling the shower and all that, and I think that should be interesting enough to get an episode out of, because there are some interesting tips on installing toilets for those of you who would rather they didn't smell. So anyway, that's what's coming up. But free time, I have enough free time. Yes, thank you so much. Here we go. 3 boats right. Boston. Paul, hey, how are you, Boston? The stay sail is a great idea. Does Poem have rolling chocks? You'll have to let me know what rolling chocks are. Do you mean like rubbing straight timbers outside the hull to try and limit how much she rolls? If that's the case, no. But if that's not, let me know what a rolling chock is. Prosser Independent Trading Company. Hi, only just made it. Well, welcome, Prosser Independent Trading Company. It was good to see you hooking up with Simon from YouTube channel Finding Simon. Yes, I realized I just saw his episode where I was in it, and of course that was shot during the summer when I visited Simon up there, and we had a great couple of days. It was a lot of fun. I love the way Simon is editing now. I just I edit fast. He edits. It was just really, really good, and it was a lot of fun. Jumping around, Theodore, who knows, maybe progress gets us all on the way To win propulsion, exactly. Wouldn't that be something? Happy New Year, and thank you for many high quality projects and advice. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you ever so much, Theodore. Wind propulsion is amazing. It really is. There's no doubt about it. I was a sailor all my life. I've always been a sailor. This is my first motorboat. Well, not quite, but almost. The practicality of sailing in many, many, many cases far exceeds the practicality of a motorboat. I chose this motorboat because I particularly love this style of motorboat. I just love it. If I could sail this boat, I would love it. But it's not a you know, you can't go to sea in these boats. So these kites or something, I don't know, kind of interesting. Who knows? Okay, Buster Sharp says Happy New Year, Peter, and everyone else. Well, Happy New Year to you too, Buster. Studio Rosenfors, best wishes from Sweden. Keep up the good work. Thank you ever so much. Michael, again, 3D modeling is the most difficult part of 3D printing. You're halfway gone regardless of age. I suppose that's true. You do need a model before you can print something. Jennifer also says, hi, Sweden. Yes, land of your ancestors. How about that? Phil, Happy New Year, Peter, and all the best from Manchester, England. Thank you. Phil, Grendel, I'm around your age and find 3D printing both useful and fun. I know. I mean, I'm tempted. Honestly, if I lived on dirt land, you know, where that... and I had room, I'd probably have a 3D printer for sure. I keep imagining 3D printing mothers to print, to cast in bronze. You know what I mean? It would be a fantastic way to create new bronze castings. Not that I see myself doing much of that, but it's an interesting fantasy. Jennifer is in Oregon. Such a wide international viewership. Yes, all over the world. Ken says, Happy New Year from Snowbird in Florida from the shores of Lake Huron. Craig comes back. Do you have a New Year's resolutions? I do. I do have New Year's resolutions. When I first came on, I'm not sure I was even live when I said it. I heard on the radio this morning that we're not supposed to call them resolutions anymore. We're supposed to call them ambitions or something. I don't hold me to that. New Year's resolutions. Fitness. I'm 60, so it's time. Not only that, I have an ambition to do a long walk through southern France and Spain. Some of you will know the community of San Diego. It's about a month-long walk through mostly Spain, the countryside of Spain. It was made famous by a couple of movies, most notably The Walk. And I've wanted to do it for a long, long time, and I want to do it in the next year or so. It won't be content, don't worry. I doubt I'll even Instagram from it, but I'll make sure that the show is continuous. But it does mean I'm going to have to walk something like 800 kilometers in like 4 or 5 weeks. And I think I'm up for it, but I'm going to spend a good chunk of this year walking a lot more and getting in better shape for that. So that is my only, keeping it simple, New Year's resolution. MVC Prince, hi Peter, regarding the rudder gland, they are usually higher than the waterline. Thing to watch when tanks filled and other loads, etc. Check the gland bolts and packing regarding Mike and Bella. That's very true. I'm used to the like in Jordy and on Zephyrus, the rudder shaft comes up higher than the waterline and the gland hardly has to do anything. However, in Poem, there's no visible rudder tube. There's only the shaft. And the shaft comes out of this knee that's against the transom pretty close or below the waterline. So that's a little bit what I'm concerned about. I'll learn more about that. Bob, hello from sunny Tsawwassen, just across from us. How are you? Boston Paul says, Peter, yep, rolling shocks are boards running fore and aft. You can do a fair job monitoring roll one underway. Sort of extra keels along the side, like a twin-keeled boat might have. But no, Poem does not have any. But maybe that's one way of getting onto it. I'm having to reboot my iPad again because it's doing ugly things. Craig says, I'm way off here. Oh, here we go. Okay. Jennifer, again, with the round hull, would you consider adding the strakes or whatever they might be called to reduce rolling in a little bit? Well, that's was answered one line above you by Boston Paul. Rolling chocks are indeed that strakes to reduce the rolling. And I don't know. I haven't heard of that done on boats in this style. I know big fishing boats have, you know, large wings basically on the bottom. I suppose it might be something I look at. Mike, we'd love to send you a beer from St. Andrews Brewing Company. What is your preferred brew? Well, Mike, absolutely anything you would like to send would be lovely. I think my preferred brew, and it is going to cause more controversy, is a hazy IPA. Only because I've had some fabulous ones, but I'm always hesitant when I say that. But anything you'd like to send would be absolutely lovely. If you're looking for where to send it, the address is actually in the description of any video. Thanks ever so much. Appreciate that. Michael says they are 3D printing rockets at Rocket Labs. Oh, gosh knows what they're doing these days. Okay, and now we have a whole whack of spam. I'm not sure how this is dealt with. I know how to delete them, but I don't know how to block them out. Let me see what I can do here. Hopefully that's just ended. Anyway, there we go. Prosser, independent training again. Edward Monk. Yes, it is. Best regards from Sweden by Martins. I am assuming I can pronounce that. And best regards to you as well. I'm just going to have a moment to see if I can do something smart with this spammer. And that might let me know if I can reduce the likelihood of that happening anymore. I apologize. Hide user. Boom. And that should done. Good. Anyway, magical technology. Michael again says, Rand Selling is beginning a new boat in Sweden. I can't keep track of all the new boats. I mean, obviously, Vagabond has a new boat, Rand has a new boat. I understand that even, well, I can't even remember the names, but everyone's getting a new boat. So Poem is the new boat for Travels with Geordie, although Geordie's not going anywhere. Marco, do you think you might get a boathouse for MB Jordy at some point that might be a worthwhile crowdfunding event? I'd chip in. Well, that is very, very, very kind. I don't think I'll get a boathouse for Jordy because I'm going to live on Jordy for the rest of the time that I'm physically able to do that, and I plan to be traveling. So even though, yes, a wooden boat should be kept indoors, and I have to emphasize that I am aware that keeping wooden boats outside in the weather, the expression we've been using lately is it's like trying to keep fine furniture outdoors. It's exactly that. It's in some ways, I'm willing to say, unkind to the boat to keep it outside because it is so hard to keep it in good condition outside. They're meant to be kept indoors. However, maybe that kindness is offset with the ability that the boat actually gets to live a full and exciting life, perhaps by doing much more cruising and having many more happy people in it than it might have if it's been in a shed. So I'm very, very torn. I realize I can never have Jordy or any other wooden boat that I'm involved with in perfect condition. I mean, I go to boat shows and those boats are nice, compared to Jordy. But I get to live aboard her every day and travel with her anywhere I want to go at any time, and I think that's a fair compromise. And I think I can honor Jordy and Poem and Zephyrus enough, even though they live outside, to have a life and be well enough kept that I think that goes great. So, but thank you ever so much for the offer. That's very, very kind. Boat shed is certainly very, and it's very convenient that I can use Lady Zephyrus's to do some work. More on that maybe in a minute. Anyway, let me jump back in. One more. Happy New Year to you, Rex. Ahoy! Travels with Geordie. Cheers. Cheers to you, Rex. Buster Sharp. Hide user is pretty much the same as banning them. No one will see their chat again. Excellent. Bruce, Happy New Year from Kingston, Ontario. All the best to you and to you as well, Bruce. I want a boat, a Hatteras, ideally. Hatteras is serious boats. I don't know much about them, but when I was a kid, I knew about those big cruisers, Hatteras. Liberty Can, picture of a sailboat. Good to see you. Michael, wood, the boat that melts. Fair, but beautiful in the meantime. I mean, if you look after it, right? And wood grows on trees. We can always fix these things. Always possible to fix these. There's some debate possibly on the availability of, tropical woods, and I acknowledge that. But at the same time, I think I just like wood. Winger again, you can get rid of spam by resetting your settings so they must be a subscriber in order to comment. I suppose that's true. I could do that, and that would vastly limit the spam, but it would also vastly limit, I think, the engagement. You'd be surprised, way less than half the people who watch the show are subscribers. In fact, I'm going to touch on that in the next episode just a little bit. But it's a good point. Brian Wright, Peter, I want a t-shirt back in the summer, but I lack the skills or social media to connect with you. How do I? Oh my gosh, Brian. Brian Wright. Send me an email. If I've never contacted you, I've completely missed you, and I apologize. I can be a month late with a shirt, but not since the summer, so I apologize. Get a hold of me at peter@travelswithgeordie.com. And I'll make sure you get your shirt. I'm very, very sorry about that. Ouija99, hi, Peter from Seattle. Any chance you could bring MV Jordy to Port Townsend, the Wooden Boat Festival in 2023? Would love to meet you and see MV Jordy. Yes, I would very, very much love to bring Jordy to the Port Townsend Wooden Boat Festival in Port Townsend in next summer. There are a couple of complications. It's not certain that a boat can get into the festival, and what I mean by that is into the inner harbor where there's good moorage. And as I'm not associated with the festival anyway, my understanding is that I would have to anchor out, and very, very, in my opinion anyway, poor anchoring conditions in Port Townsend. In fact, I'm surprised it's such a great little boating town because it has almost nothing for a harbor. So that's on my mind. Of course, traveling to the U.S., I've never done it with this boat. It's registered and insured and all that kind of stuff, and so everything is above board. The steam is certainly reasonable. I think everything is pretty much lining up. I'm going to start the process of contacting the Wooden Boat Festival and see what kind of accommodations I might be able to make there. So yes, I'll be going, at least personally, absolutely for sure. Whether or not now the spammers have found another way in. Let me just do a little of this and a little of that, and they should disappear. Okay, I hope that answers your question. I will at least be at the festival for sure, and gosh, hopefully with Jordy. Michael, I like wood as long as you're the one sanding it. Exactly. Actually, sanding wood is the least of my concerns. Sanding wood turns it from beautiful to extremely beautiful, only surpassed by varnishing, which turns it from extremely beautiful to unbelievably extremely beautiful. Working with rotten wood and trying to save it and decide how much you have to, that's not so much fun. Graham Hill, Happy New Year from Essex in the UK. Currently ashore and envious of the boat shed while I work on mahogany topsides. Beautiful. At least the Tupperware hull does not need new garbards. Nice compromise. Tupperware hull, wood tops. That sounds really just lovely. Brian Wright, episode 315. Okay, Brian, I'm actually going to make a note to make sure I get a hold of you, Brian Wright. And the easiest way for me to do that is down here. More spam. I don't understand this. Obviously, I'm a bad YouTuber. Oh, that's interesting. It suggests I can unhide this user from the channel. Maybe I'm the only one seeing this. Are you folks seeing spam? Help you out with your perfect match, sexy this and that. Anyway, hopefully I'm seeing it because I'm the owner of the live stream and you're not seeing it. Okay, let me just jump back a bit. Michael Peterson, Happy New Year to you. No lemons. I'm in love with the Grand Manx Alaskan 46 Dreamboat liveaboard. I'm sure it is. Oh my gosh, absolutely beautiful boat. Liberty Can, has it been hard to keep warm? No, not at all. With the possible exception of about a week before Christmas, it got extremely cold here. I mean, extremely cold. And then it was touch and go. I'm in a marina. I have access to 30 amp power, and I use electric heaters to keep the boat warm, and generally I'm snug as a bug in a rug. It's a wooden boat, well insulated, but it does have a lot of glass. So generally, like today, I have one heater on and I'm plenty warm. But of course, in Victoria, it's rarely very cold. A week after that cold snap, we also had 14 inches of snow. Maybe you saw that was something else. David Jackson, Happy New Year from Cape Town. Looking forward to the new episodes on Poem and Jordy. Well, thank you so much, David, and Happy New Year to you. My thing is going here. Brian Wright, Peter, my wife and I have some business in your area in the coming year. We'd love to meet you. Oh, absolutely. Get in touch. And it would be very great to meet you. Back to Buster, the spammers just made another account and another get-in being hidden on the channel. Helps having a moderator to watch chat for you. I'm thinking at some point I'm going to have to do that, and I've had a couple of offers, so that's pretty neat. SE60, I hope I pronounced your name right. Happy New Year from Finland, and Happy New Year to you as well. Larry, Happy New Year from the Cayman Islands. Oh, so cool. Hello, Harry. Brian Wright, no. Oh, you're not seeing them. Excellent, that sounds good. Jaffe, 1983, love your channel. Would love to see you in Olympia, Washington. I also have a wooden boat event in the summer. Neat. Just to elaborate on that, coming to Port Townsend, I cruise for 4 months in the summer, from the 1st of June to the 1st of October. There's a wooden boat festival right on the dock I'm at here in Victoria on Labor Day weekend. The following weekend is Port Townsend. I would love to then spend the remainder of September, maybe even early October, cruising Washington State and all the inland waterways down there, maybe as far as Olympia. So I'll look into when the festival is. If it's in that period, that would be absolutely fantastic. No spam, excellent, Ouija. I just blocked them so I do not see them anymore here. Oh, that's good, block them yourself. I saw those last 3 minutes ago, but you got rid of them. Some chats get hidden automatically. Good, okay. Thibaut, Happy New Year from Belgium. Thanks for the great episodes. You're very, very welcome, and Happy New Year's to you. Michael, you guys don't get that much snow. I assume it was normal in Canada. No, Victoria, and to a certain degree Vancouver, it's the only part of Canada that generally is much warmer in winter. I've lived in many parts of the country. Sorry to all the rest of you Canadians. I'm hoping I'm not letting you down, but Victoria, we are blessed with some generally pretty good weather. The side effect of that is what the rest of the country gets as nice fluffy snow, we get as rain. And it rains here a lot in winter. So it's not bliss necessarily, but it is warmer. So that helps a lot. And because the temperature is generally below freezing, it does mean all kinds of things like the infrastructure to have water on docks and to live in a boat, etc., are much easier. Let me get back down here. SD Co, well done, Peter and others. Great to see the progress you've made this year, especially the shed. Very impressed with the models poem in the last videos. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Graves says, with almost no hair, it's no wonder you have been having difficulty staying warm. I know, it's a bit of a change, eh? Lars, you cut your hair? Yes, that's brutal. Well, Ladies Efforts was kind enough to cut it for me. I've been planning all through the holidays to run up to the barber at some point, and I just didn't do it. And I caught a glimpse of myself this morning, and I said, I got to do something, and she was kind enough to cut it. So there you go. Happy New Year from Denmark. Happy New Year to you as well, Lars. Dana again, I have a combination of a stove by Dixon that burns coal and wood aboard my sailboat. That would be so lovely. I mean, also on the East Coast, I spent many years in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, which has a little foundry that used to make beautiful little cast stoves. I believe they have now sold the rights to those some other foundry somewhere. But I just love a little cabin with a little stove burning, wood or coal, and that's why I'm really looking forward to my time in a narrowboat in the UK, keeping warm with coal, which I have no idea if it's even going to be possible in a decade or even a year. The world is changing very, very fast, and I'm not advocating burning coal, but a little bit here, it's sort of nice, isn't it? And burning wood, of course, I just love. I am forbidden by my insurance company to have a solid fuel stove on this boat. If that wasn't the case, I definitely would. I spent most of my life heating with wood, and I love it. Ray, Happy New Year from Northern Ireland. Well, Happy New Year to you as well, Ray. Jennifer again, wood stove on a boat sounds like dangerous, but a tiny one with proper safety, heat shielding and venting, maybe. Well, I agree with you completely, Jennifer. I think it could be, many wooden boats have had wood stoves on them with no trouble at all. It does require being careful. And it would be great if it wasn't your only source of heat. In other words, you didn't rely on stoking up a big fire and going to sleep. You might let the fire die down before you went to sleep type of thing, but I would love it, but it's not in my future. Boston Paul, Peter, what makes your haul-out project plans for the boats this year? Okay, I talked about that a little bit briefly, but I'll just touch on it again. Jordy will be hauled out, waving at neighbors walking back, wondering why I'm yelling at my phone. Jordy will be hauled out this spring for a moderately short haul out, maybe a week or two, to replace the final 2 garboard planks that really must be done, because it's the only part of the boat that's leaking now. The rest of the bottom is great. I will do some additional framing in the forecastle. In other words, the additional plastic frames that I've put through the middle of the boat. leaving one more haul out before the boat is really finished on the bottom, and that's where I'll haul out and do the additional frames in the aft portion of the boat. But there's no more planks that need work, or refastening that need work, or butt blocks that need work, so that will be much, much quicker. And if anyone who's watched the mega haul out I did a year and a half ago, through the middle of the boat where the engine is, I also had to replace all the floors, which is quite complex, as well as the engine beds, and it was a lot of work, whereas I think the remaining work will be much, much simpler. So yes, Jordy will be hauled out briefly this spring. Poem, likely not. No real reason to do it. Possibly in the fall, but more likely it'll be next spring. Let me jump right back in wherever I was here. Alison Ford, all the very best for 2023. Thank you very much, Alison. Craig says, how many hours have you put on Jordy's new engine? I'd have to look at the engine meter. I'm going to guess, well, I just did its second 100-hour service, so I'm at 50 plus 100. So I'm at 150, 145, somewhere in there. Jennifer, have you seen the... I haven't seen coal stoves in the UK Canal longboats, but they are very flat riding at 3 miles per hour with no waves. Yes, true. Absolutely love that. Marco, are you still considering cruising the Great Lakes, then down the Mississippi? Would being in freshwater cause wood deterioration? The answer is yes, definitely going to do the Great Loop. So truck Jordy to Lake Superior, Thunder Bay in Canada on Lake Superior, and then down to Chicago and into the Mississippi and around the Great Loop. There's a lot of debate about freshwater in wooden boats for short periods. I don't think it's going to be a real big problem. I mean, by the time I launch the boat in Thunder Bay and by the time I pop out of the Mississippi into the Gulf of Mexico, if that's the route I take, you know, it's going to be a couple of months. I don't think it's going to be a big problem. There's lots of wooden boats that survive freshwater, so I'm not too concerned about it. But I will be doing some research on it for sure. Liberty Can asks, although it was way up here, are any people having success running Chevy 350s and having it reliable? If you mean in a boat, I'd have to say there's lots of speedboats with Chevy 350s, I'm assuming. I see them on Instagram going, I have no interest in a Chevy 350 in a boat or any Chevy. I mean, Poem has a Chevy 6 in it that runs perfectly. I just don't like gas engines and boats. I really just don't like gas engines and boats for lots of reasons. Never mind the fire risk. It's just there's an efficiency element to it. It's just I don't know what it is. So Chevy 350. I have a Chevy 4.3, which is a Chevy 350 minus 2 cylinders in my Land Rover, and it is the most robust, reliable engine I can imagine. They're great engines. I'm not sure I'd put it in a boat. Buster Sharp, is that your Christmas tree? I still haven't taken ours down yet. Yes, it is indeed my Christmas tree, and it is just gorgeous. I've been so happy with it, and it's been fun to have it here when I have guests aboard in the last little while. It is much too large for on a boat, but it is... it's a big boat and there's room, so it worked pretty well. Let's have a look here. Grendel, how much better a boat is used than storing even if perfect condition? A friend of mine quotes, if you don't bring it back with scuffed paintwork, you haven't... Yes, absolutely, haven't used hard enough. Absolutely, I think you're touching on me talking about not keeping a boat in a shed, and I totally agree. If a boat gets to have a life, I think it's had a better life. And my Sea Prince asks, I have a wood burning stove for 34 years. Is the quality of the wood required? Absolutely. I nice, good hardwood oak or something. Oh, it'd be just lovely. Code name Void 24. Hi. Ray's son here, also from Northern Ireland. Love watching your videos. Well, good to have you and welcome. Ken. It's just jumped to me and I have no idea. Here we go. Looking forward to seeing how Poem evolves in 2023. So am I, but I'm so excited. I think a lot of people are still wondering, why on earth are you taking on Poem and doing so much work to it when Jordy still needs so much work? I'll just touch on that again, just briefly. I'm going to be able to fly through the work on Poem. It's totally different when it's not your home. I have such design paralysis with Jordy. It takes me forever to decide because it's forever. It's forever. Everything I do on Poem has to be perfect for me forever. I mean on Jordy, excuse me. on Poem, as long as it's really great, I can fly through it, and I do that kind of stuff pretty quick. So I'm super excited to have a project that I don't have to overly stress about. I can just, and I'm not saying it's going to be slapped together, but I can work quickly and efficiently, and there will be some economies in terms of the way the boat is put together. But I'm determined that the quality of the work will be stellar, and it'll be appropriate for the boat, and it'll make it a boat that's much more useful than it is now. So thank you for being enthusiastic about what's going to happen with Poem, because I certainly am. Don asks, love the channel, continue forever. Thank you. Whew, I hope it continues forever too, or at least a little bit longer anyway. James says, hi Peter, have been watching you from the Argosy days till now. Ran into your friend Rosen, Con Elmsdale. Oh, Con, haven't seen him in ever. Believe you guys connected over Land Rovers. Yep, all the best from Dartmouth. Yep, Con, very good friend, and he is an absolute figurehead in the Land Rover community in the country, North America, but certainly in Nova Scotia, and it's been an honor knowing him. Very, very wonderful people. Since the Argosy days, some days I just think about what a great coach that was. I would never go back to RVing, but that was a lovely, lovely trailer. M. Jamie says, Happy New Year from Key West in Florida. Well, Happy New Year to you as well. Lauren says, Port Alberni sends greetings. Well, greetings to you up there. There's a brewery I have to go to up there. Someone told me about Twin Cities, something. Anyway, it sounds quite exciting. I've never had any of their beer. Estico, looking forward to seeing the haulouts. These have been really enjoyable. Probably hard work to doing the work, but filming all the same. Haulouts are hard work, but they're kind of a. I'm not even sure this is pointing at me because I can't see that far. Haulouts are wonderful. There's something sort of event. It's like going to some kind of a meetup of some sort. It's such a significant event. You have to move quickly because it's very expensive to be there. You don't want the boat to dry out much. Whew. I love haulouts, actually, strangely, because of the intensity of the whole experience. You eat well, you work hard, you sleep really well, and filming it's a lot of extra work. And in fact, sometimes I'm filming every day and editing every day, but it just adds to that sort of stimulation that I personally really, really enjoy. I'm glad I don't have to do it all the time. It's very, very expensive. Not just being on the hard, but you tend to be using expensive materials, bottom paint, etc., like that. So in that sense, I'm glad I don't have to do it too often. But I do very, very much enjoy it. Basha says, it's beautiful, the tree. Well, thank you very much. I like it a lot. Jennifer says, great loop, will be awesome. It certainly will. I'm so excited about that. Lauren also says, Chev 250 is a Merc 165 great mill. I'm sure it is. I mean, they're great motors. Lauren says, rolling chocks are bilge keels. No, I'm getting the idea of that. I appreciate that. Jennifer says, Michael, it's all about the style choices, not the money. Very true. Michael says, sometimes being around money is what makes choice possible. Yeah, it's very true. Michael owned his own custom home building business in Nova Scotia for a long time. That's true. He has moved on from that to his life aboard MV Jordy. Very true. Ray asks, Happy New Year from Virginia on Chesapeake Bay. Well, Happy New Year to you as well. Michael says, STCO, also interested to see Poem evolve. Maybe make her a great boat you'd like to see in use, but be prepared to sell her, I suppose. Yes, of course. See fit, it will be happy with the product. Yes, having Poem in my life for a period is going to be great. It doesn't have to be forever. I'm very happy that in the time that Poem is with me, it will evolve into something that is really, really great. And if that means that I'm selling her and she's moving on, that's just fine too. It's sort of just fine. I'll be sort of sad, but anyway. Liberty Can, it must be surreal seeing such beautiful scenery every day. I honestly, I don't know how much I've talked about this. For those who are just tuning in, I live on a boat right in the epicenter of Victoria, British Columbia, in the inner harbor. Right behind me is the legislature, which is the beautiful big stone provincial house of government. Just over here is the Empress Hotel, which is one of the classic Canadian railway hotels. I'm not sure how well you can see out of the boat. I intend to do a walk around tour one day. I even considered doing this live stream as a walk around, and I will do that sometime soon. The weather just didn't really suit today, and I thought I wouldn't do it. The scenery here is beautiful. This town is beautiful. It's walkable. You can walk to anything you want. I'm so grateful to live here. It's a little on the small side for this city boy who grew up in Montreal, but that's just fine. And then boating from here in any direction is absolutely gorgeous scenery. If you've seen any of the episodes where I'm cruising in the summer, you just can't go wrong. It doesn't matter where you go, it's going to be spectacular. It's just, is it extremely spectacular or utterly anyway, it is amazing. It's beautiful. Let me jump back down to wherever I may be. John Simon McMonagall, how are you, Bard of the Boats? Hi, Peter. Such tonsorial elegance. Where is our disheveled genius? Compliments of the season from the Bard of the Boat. Yes. Yes. Well, I'll be plenty disheveled before long, no doubt about it. Anyway, glad to see you here. Michael says, with your intelligence and craftsmanship, why don't you own your own business making the big bucks? Do you consider yourself a hippie, or is that just a Canuck kind of thing? I won't comment on intelligence and the like. I was very entrepreneurial when I was younger, and yes, I have never had a job. I've always owned my own business, either being a consultant in computer-aided design, in architectural design. I have a background in architecture. I am not an architect, though. And for many years, I designed and built custom homes in Nova Scotia, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Big bucks? No, because I didn't charge enough. And I had a large crew, which I paid well, 12, 14 guys on crew. If you're interested, actually, I'm not sure where that, I think there's a link down in the description of every episode about, I think I renamed it to Optic Nerve Studios, clever about the eye. If you'd like to have a look at the kind of stuff I used to design and build. I'm still entrepreneurial, but I do not want to be an employer anymore. Running a large crew is a lot of work. Basically, my job was keeping them employed, which I was happy to do. But I'm at a different part of my life now where I will be a consultant or something, and I don't need big bucks. I much prefer to live simply and enjoy myself a lot more than I used to. The stress level through the roof. Anyway, that's an answer to that if I can possibly get that. Jennifer sort of answers that. Life choice, just money. Michael says sometimes being about money is what makes choice possible. Very, very true. I have certainly the pace that I can work on Jordy is or any boat is directly limited to how much money I have, and it's a little slower than I'd hoped, but that's the way it goes. Happy New Year from Virginia. Chesapeake Bay says Ray. Very good. Michael says At TCO, also interested to see Poem evolve. Make her a great boat. And prepare to sell it. Oh, I'm jumping back. I'm not, I'm reading way out of order. Excuse me. Jennifer, poverty is limiting. Yes, it is. A lot of latitude between poverty and being very dollar wealthy. Very, very true. I live very simply, but very well. I think I do anyway. We asked Peter, I want to thank you for all your hard work and keep running your channel. Thank you. So very proud of the patron support. Well, thank you ever so much. Happy New Year. Thank you ever so much, Ouija. Jennifer says, Vancouver Island and the mainland coast is so beautiful. Yes, indeed, it is. A message which I assume is Russian. I can't read any of it, but it includes peace, cheers, and a Christmas tree, and all the same to you as well. Craig Randall says, thank you for all your great videos, Peter. Much better than mainstream TV. That's very, very kind. Jim, greetings from Milwaukee. Jim, Liberty Can, do you know anyone who has glassed a hull like Jordy? Yes, I'll just touch on that briefly. In this community, in the wooden boat community, it is considered the kiss of death to fiberglass a wooden boat. That's not to say that it hasn't been done with good results. The problem is it is rarely done with good results because the preparation required to do it really, really well is extreme. The boat has to be in good shape to begin with, and by the time most people consider glassing a boat, the boat isn't in good shape anymore. The frames have to be solid, it has to be square, it has to be well fastened. You have to cut all the seams out and replace them with epoxied in splines, wood. In other words, you have to turn it into a solid wooden hull. It has to be dry as a bone, it has to be dimensionally stable. Then you have to glass it with utmost care. Then you have to deal with all the perforations, where through hulls come through, where the rudder shaft, all those things. It's complex to do right, and many people have done it right and now have a boat that will last maybe forever. It does mean that any moisture that gets into the boat is now fresh water. So you now have a fiberglass bowl with a wooden boat inside it. I would worry about that. Generally, I wouldn't ever consider fiberglassing a wooden boat, only because if you look after them properly, a wooden boat is just fine the way it was originally designed, if you keep it up and maintain it. But I'm not an expert. This is all what I've been told and what I understand. Personally, I wouldn't dream of it. But there you go. Ruben's Adventures, Happy New Year. If you sell Pome, will you buy another boat? Have you tried any United Kingdom brewery ales? Wow. Happy New Year to you as well. If I sell Pome, will I buy another boat? Absolutely not. I did not have any intention on having 2 boats. I won't have another boat. The next boat I buy will be a steel narrowboat in the UK. Have you tried any UK brewery ales? I have. People have sent me a few. I have been to the UK in the past and had a few, but I am not very familiar with English beer as much as I should be. So if you'd like to send me something, that would be just fine. That'd be great. Liberty Can, great channel. Thanks for great content. Happy New Year. Thank you again, Jake. Jake, what do they do at the Crystal Gardens? I imagine you're referring to the Crystal Gardens, which are basically just the other side of the Empress Hotel here. I don't know much about it. I believe it's a shopping center. That's what I think so. But I apologize if I don't know more about it. Don Smith says, Happy New Year, everyone. Jennifer says, best New Year's wishes to everyone. I have to run. Kitchen is good food coming, and I'm sure it is. Bye, Dwalt. Goodbye, Jennifer. Thanks for checking in. Liberty Can, exactly. Buster says, yeah, I'll just check in with everyone else. James says, enjoying your channel from Tyneside. All the best, Peter, from Jim, and all the best to you as well. Tom says, Rand Sailing is building their new sailboat out of wood with fiberglass. Well, I'm sure if you're building new, then you have much more control. Plus, you're probably not going to build a planked wooden boat and then fiberglass it. You're going to build some kind of cold molded, diagonally laid fiberglass something or other and fiberglass it, which I believe would make a very good boat. I tend just not to have an interest in that style of boat, but there you go. SDCO says, Peter, if you come over this side of the pond, have you considered cruising up the big European rivers? Yes, you're probably new to the channel or newish. My life ambition is to take Jordy and do America's Great Loop, which I think I talked about briefly, and then ship it from Halifax to Southampton in England and cruise the big European rivers, notably the Danube. Yes, absolutely, I want to spend the rest of my life cruising any inland waterway and coastal waterway that is safe. Board Jordy in Europe. That is the plan until I'm too old to manage it anymore, and you've heard me say recently that at that point I will end up on a narrowboat in the UK or deep underground. I mean, who knows? But anyway, that's the plan. So yes, big canals. Yes. David asks, hello Peter, Happy New Year. I love to spend part of my Sunday evening with you every week. Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate that. Craig says, my granddad used to have a Clinker X lifeboat. Every time it sank, which was often, he used to put more and more quick-drying cement in to fix it. Well, lots of boats have been kept afloat with cement, including this one, I believe. Blur27, buying a narrowboat is my retirement plan as well. I'm just hoping, Blur, that it's possible when we get to that age. I watch many narrowboat channels, including, of course, Cruising the Cut. There's a lot of stress on the narrowboat world right now, and in fact, it's going to change dramatically when funding for the canals changes in the next few years. So keep an eye on it. I'm a little anxious, actually, to tell you the truth. But anyone who knows about the future of narrowboat cruising, please let me know. Here we have to jump back a bit. I jumped way ahead. I apologize. Vintage Tin Randy says, Happy New Year, great content. Do I remember correctly that you mentioned you have considered cruising the English inland canals? Yes, absolutely, as I was just saying. John Smith, yeah, what's up, Doc? Fireworks. Soon, I suppose. There's going to be fireworks, yeah. Russell, I have to go now. Happy New Year, and may all your dreams come true. Thank you so much, Russell. I appreciate that. John, jumping back in, twin engine, Broom 30, outside steering waiting for you on the Shannon anytime you come to Island. John, you have no idea. I honestly would pack my bags this afternoon. The Broom 30 with upper helm was the boat that I dreamt of for years and years and years before I came out to the coast and bought Jordy. I thought I was going to go straight to the UK, and it was because I had Jordy, it got complex, etc. Jordy the dog. Thank you ever so much, and one way or another, I am definitely going to come see you and enjoy some time on the boat. Blur said Jordy can make the crossing. Do you know, when I first bought Jordy, I said, I wonder, via Iceland maybe? No, we won't be doing that, no. Michael says, thanks Pete, great show, Happy New Year. PayPal donation. Well, thank you very much. Feel kind of awkward now. I've been such close friends for so long, but it's Mitch, not Mike. Oh, terribly sorry. I'll have to remember that. Mitch. Gotta remember it. Don, looking forward to this year's videos. On the ones from the past. Thank you very much. Brian says, Peter, would you cross love watching. It jumped from one question to the other. Would you cross the English Channel with Jordy? Definitely. I would cross the English Channel with Jordy. I believe it can be done because I've watched several crossings in similar European English wooden boats. You just got to you got to get a weather window and go. And that's all. And then watch out for shipping. But I would cross there, definitely. Jake, there is the Arctic Camel boat build also. That's true, Arctic Camel. I don't know much about that. Mark, I love watching the virtual concept and seeing you making them come to life. Been watching for at least a year. Love it. Thank you ever so much. I hope you continue to enjoy the show. Ron, hi Peter. I want to thank you for your fantastic channel and really enjoy the episodes last year. Wishing you and your viewers a great 2023. And the same to you. Thank you very much. Jumping around. Kevin, Happy New Year from Newark, Connecticut. Would love to visit Long Island Sound. Well, I hope to when I'm doing the loop. Definitely will. Check out the engines of the Titanic. They're almost saying words. Check out the engines of the Titanic. They are almost saying words. I'm not sure I get that, but I will. I'll look into it. Happy New Year from Hamburg in Germany. Love your boat and your work. Thanks so much. You. I hope I pronounced that correct. Ruben's Adventures again. I would gladly send you some United Kingdom ales for you as an ambassador for St. Oslo Brewery, which is known for their proper job of Big Job of What's email address. Okay. You can contact me at peter@travelswithgeordie.com, or you can just look into the description of any video, and there's all the contact information as well as mailing information there if you'd like to jump to that. Thank you ever so much, Rubens. That would be lovely. Lou, greetings from Boston. Love the channel. Thanks so much, Lou. Greetings to you as well. Mike, it's C. Narrow Dog to Karskoni. Can't remember the spelling. Well, I certainly didn't pronounce it right. You would be fine in Jordy on a nice day across the channel. Well, thank you. It's so nice to hear that from someone who has local knowledge. Mike at C. Terry Darlington steamed his narrowboat across the channel. Oh yeah, Terry, he did, and wrote a book about it. Narrowboat, I've watched a few episodes of narrowboats crossing the channel, and that's something I'm not sure I would do. But anyway, there you go. Rich says, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Brian, Happy New Year to you and Lady Z. My wife is calling, and I'm her caregiver. Bye now. Well, so glad for checking in, Brian. I really appreciate it, and I hope your wife as well. Jojo, I just saw that you're streaming here and got a haircut in. And trim to your bed. Trim to your bed? Bed. Beard. I think you meant beard. I hope you meant beard. Yes, I did. I'm all tidied up for the new year. Marco, do you think you will ever go further inside the Inside Passage toward Alaska? Excellent question. This summer, I'm going to go a little further north than I have in the past. I'm going to go at least up into Octopus Islands and the Broughton Island group. If I get further than that, I just don't know. The boat is definitely capable. I mean, the motor is super reliable, electrics, everything is running great. I certainly have the fuel capacity to do it. Part of the reason I would have to confess is, I think I've said more than a few times, I'm kind of a city boy. I'm extremely extroverted. I get a little squirrely on my second or third night in total wilderness. And I'm sure that's very unkind, because it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. I just love it. A perfect cruise for me is 2 nights in wilderness and a little village with a pub. And then 2 nights in wilderness, or having people aboard, or coming to a little harbor where I can have many people aboard. So that's probably, it has been my limitation in the past, to go into very, very wildernessy areas. I have it's a great benefit being the way I am because most people consider this coast very crowded and it doesn't bother me at all. If I can find a place to squeak Jordy in anywhere, I really don't mind the other boats that are there, and I realize I'm in the minority with that. So to answer your question, yes, further north, all the way to Alaska, not that likely. You know, up to the top of the island, perhaps, but anyway, I'll learn more about that. I can see. No, there is a good bit of difference between Jordy and a narrowboat. You're right about the narrowboat, I think. Yes, I believe so. Mark asks from Roseville, California. Love the show and boat refit. Would you like to see a fishing report of some of the areas you visit? Oh, would like to see a fishing report. You know, Mark, I have to apologize. I don't fish. I don't fish at all. I grew up in Montreal. I'm a city kid. I have twice in my life cast a lure with a fishing rod. And the second time, I only cast the lead because I didn't want to catch another fish. I was a kid. So no, I have very, very poor experience with fishing. I haven't fished. I know these are beautiful fishing grounds. Everyone I know fishes. The upside to that is everyone I know fishes. I've had no shortage of fresh fish because of that. So I don't actually think I'm going to get into fishing, at least yet. Now, trapping for prawns and maybe crab, that might be a different thing. But more on that this summer. Let me jump back again. Paul asks, what power tools would you love to own to keep you with Poem? Greetings from England. It's an interesting question in many ways. Right now, almost all my tools are up at the shed with Poem, which means if I want to do anything here, I go, it's not here. And it's an hour and a half drive over a small mountain pass to get to them. So now I've recently been up there this last week transferring tools back and forth and lumber to do some work here next week. I don't think I'm going to set up a second set of all my tools, but there are a few tools I'm going to get. I'm going out for just a set of wrenches. I'm going to probably buy another Makita drill and saw, just another smaller set of tools. No more router table, table saw, bandsaw, all that stuff. But at least a minimum set of tools to have on both boats, which will then become the tools that travel in the Land Rover. Because some of you will know that I'm going to do some overlanding, some long distance traveling in my Land Rover in the not too distant future, and I need some tools for that as well. So that's a very good question. Ouija also says, hey Peter, can you sometime post a long cruise video that sounds like the engine and just the scene in front of you, wherever you want to point the camera? I love cruising videos you post. Thank you so much. I keep thinking of that, and so many people ask, and I touched on it a little this last summer, did I not? I'm going to get a new kind of camera. You may be familiar with spherical video. The camera that's most common for that is the Insta360. It's a camera that has two lenses, one on the front and one on the back, and it streams video looking in every direction at the same time. Woo! As a video guy, that's so exciting for me because I've been doing that in 3D for decades actually. But anyway, so I could put this on top of the boat and go do long cruise videos, and you wouldn't even have to just look forwards. You in YouTube can control with a little scrolly thing up in that corner which way the camera points while you watch it. So let's say I go around and there's another beautiful boat that you'd like to look into. You just scroll over and look at it very much like Street View. If you're familiar with Street View, that's spherical video. So you could watch it as it goes by and then just carry on and looking wherever. So this will be the summer where I do many, many more cruising videos. In fact, perhaps almost every leg I take, I will put up as a dedicated cruising episode of just spherical video. So look anywhere you want at any time. Maybe the camera's in the wheelhouse and you can see what I'm making myself for lunch as I'm steaming. I don't know. But so yes, cruising videos, steaming videos are coming. Oh, where? Liberty Can, do you keep everything on board or do you have a storage unit? Does the marina have a shower facility? Excellent question. I love to keep everything on board. I find it a slippery slope to have storage off the boat because then, of course, it's unlimited. Well, it's not unlimited, but it's not finite. I want to live a life where every single thing I own can be kept on this boat, with the exception of the Land Rover. Currently, that's not the case because I'm spread between this boat and Poem is in a shed. that has storage. So yes, quite a lot of the storage that was on this boat, certainly all the tools and materials, are now in that shed. But if tomorrow I had to take everything I own with the exception of Pome itself and the Land Rover, I could still get it back aboard this boat. And I'm going to maintain that for the rest of my life. I do not want to have more possessions than I could keep aboard Jordy at any given time. And that creates a quality over quantity mindset. Every time I buy something new, if it has volume, I have to get rid of something else, really, to be able to put it somewhere. So I find some lesser thing that I rarely use. I gift it on, I move it on, something like that. And I love that mindset. No off-board storage, except for this interim period where I'm working on boats and there is some storage in the shed. Definitely true. Let me jump ahead. There was more questions. Do you have a storage unit? Does the marina have a shower facility? Yes, it does. It's about a 5-minute walk along the shore, and it's a beautiful, clean laundry, shower, bathroom facility. I don't use any of it because I have a lovely shower aboard. I even have a laundry aboard, so I don't use that, but it is very nice for other residents here at the marina. Jeffrey, Happy New Year to you and Lady Z. I know you have gone to Port Townsend. Have you considered coming to Oregon? Yes, I love Oregon. I've been to Oregon several times. The street food in Portland is I love it. I was there most recently on a big road trip with my daughter. Some of you may have seen. I may actually be in Oregon relatively soon on something that I can't talk about, but it's going to be an interesting new addition to the world around here. I love Oregon, and the possibility of getting back down to that coast is something that I'm really looking forward to. Mark says, Happy New Year. Peter, Happy New Year to you as well, Mark. Another Mark, have you met the Samson crew? I have not. He's referring to Leo of the Tally-Ho project. I have talked with Leo many times. I helped him do some drawings when he was having some trouble with the municipality over the way he was using the property when he was in Squim, the original property. We've chatted a few times. A very nice guy. He has extended me an invitation to come and visit at any time, as I have to him. I also acknowledge that he is very, very busy and has many people asking for his time. So I have not done so. However, if I get to Port Townsend next year, I will send him a note and say, is there a possibility I could share a pint with you at some time? So I would very much love to. Although, I do acknowledge he's a busy man. Nigel, Happy New Year's from a wet and windy Lymington in the UK. When are you going to finish your upper helm position on Jordy? Looking forward to the finished result. That is effectively the next project, second to next project for Jordy. As a sneak preview, I'm sitting right where the galley will be on Jordy. If you've been watching long enough, you know there was a mock-up version of this galley in the past. I will be building the galley this winter in the shed and bringing the components down here. So by spring, Pome will have a galley. The first decent weather project for Jordy is to finish the upper helm and have a steering position and the upper helm completely finished for this summer's cruising. And I'm so excited. It is so lovely to drive from upstairs. I did it in the first year I owned the boat because everything was still functional, and it is just absolutely gorgeous. So yes, this spring. Jumping around here, I enjoy, jumping around a lot, excuse me. Okay, here we go. Dana asks again, when you do the Great Loop, when you go past southern Maine, stop in and we can have a lot of free lobster. Love it, Dana. I will be definitely coming to see you. You're probably going to have to kick me out by the time you're done with it because I just love the lifestyle of that part of the continent. Ruben asks, how design your channel logo? If it was you, could you produce some stickable stickers that I could buy? Okay, I did not design the logo. The logo was designed by an absolutely wonderful gentleman, and I won't say his name because I can't remember if he's allowed me to do so. He's a viewer. He's a graphic artist from Ottawa. Very talented fellow, very kind, and very devoted to the show. And in fact, here's a sneak preview. A whole bunch of new shirts are coming out in the new year. New designs for the shirt. And he designed that current logo, as well as all the shirts but the original black and white shirt, which I did years ago. and there's going to be a whole new sort of set of, I hate to say merch, but stuff. I guess you could say merch, including stickers. There are currently stickers of that exact graphic available on the online store. So it's www.travelswithgeordie.store, or there's a link in every description of every video. I acknowledge, and the first thing anyone's going to notice if they go to www.travelswithgeordie is there is no actual website there. There's just a bunch of placeholders. I have never fleshed out the website, and I'll get to it someday. But anyway, there are other stickers there. Jumping on. Oh my God, the 360 camera sounds amazing. Hope it's not too expensive. Says Ouija. It's not that bad. It's the price of a GoPro. So by spring, one way or another, I'll have it. Mitch. I may not need a boat now after all. That's right, eh? Couldn't it be cool? VR, it is virtual reality, no doubt about it. Buster says, I enjoy watching you fix and build things. But 360 cruising video sounds like fun as well. I look forward to it. I think it'll be a great use of the technology, you know. I mean, they're mostly sold to people who do like extreme skiing, and they jump over ski jumps, and you can look up and down. Anyway, should be fun. Sean, hi all, happy new year, cheers from Kansas City. Steve says, and cheers to you as well, Sean. Steve, happy new year, Peter, and happy new year to you, Steve. Mitch again, a new puppy. I didn't say that. And not mine. Jeffrey, let me know when and where. I'll be happy to buy you a beer. Sounds great. I'll absolutely will. Buster says, if I can keep track, one cool thing about 360 videos, like Mitch pointed out, is you have a phone and the right peripherals to go with it. You can set YouTube into VR mode and watch in VR. You can. In fact, if you're on your phone, all you do is turn your phone around, and it looks in the direction that you want to look. It's so cool. It's so cool. So cool. So cool. Craig, are you leaving your mooring in spring? Is it just a winter mooring? It is indeed, Craig. I'm at the Causeway Marina run by the Greater Victoria Harbour Authority, and I'm on their winter program. In other words, a vastly discounted moorage for liveaboards from October 1st to May 25th. Not quite the end of May, because of a offshore race that's conducted here every June 1st. So I will be leaving, so I will be cruising again as last summer, the 4 summer months. However, this year I will go straight to a haul out. I'll haul out for 2 weeks or so. 2 more. That's the Coho, the ferry to Washington State, Port Angeles in Washington State. Many of you will have heard it before. I just love the boat, and I love hearing it come in. So yes, I'll be cruising for 4 months. Some of that will be cruising Desolation Sound upside the inside passage. Some of that will be spending some time in Vancouver, because I enjoyed that tremendously. Remember, city kid. Some of that will be coming back to Victoria for the Wooden Boat Festival here, and some of that will be, hopefully, cruising in Puget Sound, Port Townsend, and beyond. So that is the plan. But happily, I'll be able to return here next October 1st for the winter of 2023-2024. Let me. David asks, hi Peter, are you going to do Spain, France walk? It would be certainly interesting to follow your journey in Spain. In Jordy. I am going to do the Spain, France walk, but it won't be with Jordy. I'm just going to fly over, walk it, and come back. But I will be in Spain with Jordy at some time after that. Probably I'll be in Spain again sooner in the Land Rover. But more on that later. Not quite sure how that's going to go. Sailing Someday. Happy New Year's from Nigeria. Love the channel. Well, hello, and from Sailing Someday. Bob says, Peter, got my t-shirt. It's beautiful. Thank you very much. Well, I'm so glad you did, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. Sailing Someday again, says Leo. At home, now doing visa stuff and other obligations as per his video today. I didn't get to see today's video. I did hear that he was having to manage some visa stuff. I have teased him many times that he should bring Tally-Ho up here to Victoria. There's many places that would happily host him here. So if any of you have any influence with Leo, get him to get in touch with me. Marco, your ability to keep your possessions to a minimum is quite enviable. Well, Marco, you can say that. I'm not trying to be critical, but all you have to do is do it. Like I used to live in a 4-story house. Yes, 4 stories. Lots of stuff. I had a large coach house with another studio above it. And then I had barn full of stuff. Stuff. I was a collector of stuff. Not quite a hoarder, but not far off it. If it had moving parts, I probably had one. you just have to choose. You have to just decide, I'm happier with less stuff. And once that tidal wave of happiness catches up with you, it becomes so easy. It's so simple. People offer you stuff. They say, hey, what? I say, no, sorry, I love it, but really, give it to someone else. Just because you just see your life differently. So if you think it's enviable, just have a go at it, and suddenly you will ride that glorious wave of minimalism. Whoa, it sounded a bit preachy. Sorry. Bob says, it's so weird that I've watched this channel for so long that I thought of the coho. The coho says hello. Yes, it definitely does. Ruben's Ventures, I have a YouTube channel where I go visiting canal festivals and go walking different canal towpaths. You can buy a narrowboat in the UK when you retire. I would definitely buy you an ale or two. Fabulous. And Ruben's Adventures, I'm going to have a look at your show because I like the sound of that. Bob Adam, the more storage you have, the more stuff you have. Absolutely. It's just the way it works. Absolutely. There's another thing that goes with that, by the way, and my daughters always tease me about it because I have a thing about horizontal surfaces. Horizontal surfaces. The top of a table, side table, dresser, the top of the piano. Heck, the top of just about anything can get a little cluttered with stuff if you're not diligent about not keeping it that way. I'm one of these nothing on the counter people. Drives some people crazy. But anyway, that's another way of looking at the same thing. Let me jump down a bit here. Craig says, do you have a boat safety certificate inspection every 4 years like the UK? Yes and no. We have to keep our boats insured. Well, we don't have to. Boats in Canada don't have to be insured, but you're going to vastly limit your privilege. In other words, to come to a marina like this, you usually have to be insured. So Jordy and Poem and Zephyrus are all fully insured. To keep insured, you need a survey every 5 years. And the survey is done by a surveyor, and he inspects the boat, makes sure that everything is fit to be insurable. And that survey goes to the insurance company and it says, excellent, you passed another survey, you can have another 5 years worth of insurance. So it's not quite the same as in the UK where you have the safety certificate, but it effectively is the same. The truth is you can keep a boat on this coast and have nobody inspect it ever, but you're limited as to where you can take it. Don says, I agree with you, not necessarily to have things just because you can. Yes, Don. Buster says, yeah, tables and counters tend to become catch-alls. They definitely do. Don says, will you be traveling through New Brunswick anytime soon? Love the channel, Dan and Gail. Well, some of you will know that my daughter lives in Halifax and my other daughter is soon to be married. So there is a road trip to the East Coast of Canada coming in the not too distant future. Exactly how, when, why, I don't know yet, but I will certainly announce it publicly if I'm going that way, and if there's anyone who would like to meet up, Don definitely could do that. PFALZGRAF. Honestly, you've been watching the show forever, and I've never, ever been able to pronounce your name. Flagrazov. I'm just going to call you Fagsler. Anyway, I apologize profusely. Is there like a nickname or something I can call you? But anyway, Happy New Year. Is at my place. It's already arrived. Living in a smaller place is absolutely a great idea and less burdensome. Also makes it easier to keep things in order. Very, very true. And again, I apologize. False gruff? Okay, false gruff. I've got to remember that. False gruff. I love it. Okay, William, haircut looks good. I don't know if anyone has said this story to repeat. Well, actually, most people have kind of teased me about it, so thank you very much. I appreciate it. Actually, people have been kind. Mark says, next time, go to a barber. Aw, Lady Zephyrus cut this hair. Mitch, false gruff. Excellent. False gruff. It's good. Excellent. That's good. Okay, so now, listen, we've been on a while. Wow, an hour and a half. Oh my gosh, this is going to be the longest live stream in history. I of course, love to answer your questions and to keep track with you, but at the same time, I don't want to hold you up longer than you intended for this New Year's Eve. I have nothing to do for the next little while until people arrive and we start enjoying the joyous benefits of New Year's Eve, but I will let you go. And unless anyone has a key question, a key comment, something that you really need to know, that you just can't wait a little while, in the meantime, we're going to see you a week from tomorrow with another episode. That episode will be about some tile work and a new shower and a new toilet for Zephyrus, probably. And I hope you find that interesting. Marcus says, I think your haircut looks great. I appreciate that. Thanks. Yeah, way to go, Lady Z. All right, Tom says, Happy New Year from Ottawa. Happy New Year to you as well. And I'll begin the process of the goodbyes and let you all carry on with your good time for this to completely fail me. There we go. I think I'm on it now. Yeah, you look less crazy, but I'm no less crazy. No doubt about that. Let me just answer the last few questions here. Did you get the fuel tanks finished? Oh my gosh, yes, the fuel tanks are... Oh, perhaps I didn't talk about finishing the putting the fittings in and stuff like that. Fuel tanks are fully installed, fully operational, wonderful. The polishing system where I can pump back and forth between them, perfect. It's also a balancing system, means I can balance out the boat. While I'm here over the winter and it's cool and I worry about condensation and stuff, I regularly polish the fuel back and forth. Super excited about the way the fuel tanks worked out. If Poem ends up going diesel, she'll get too little of almost exactly the same setup, because it was going to be great. SVC Quest Peter, Happy New Year from San Francisco, and Happy New Year to you as well. Bob Adams, tile work on a boat. That sounds interesting. Yes, it's mosaic tile, so they're tiny. It's a little pure, pretty. Oh, it's gonna be nice. Green mosaic tile. I'm quite excited about it. Plus, the main content of this is we're replacing the toilet with a freshwater electric flush, and we're dealing with the universal problem of smelly septic systems on boats. And I think there's a solution that, well, part of the solution anyway, that we'll talk about next week. Jumping back, Richard Beer, Lady Z, stay away from my poodle. Okay. Happy New Year from Parksville. Hey, up in Parksville. Happy New Year to you, Don. Thank you for the fun. You're welcome. Scrolling down, trying to make sure this well. Craig, Happy New Year, and Happy New Year again. Mike and C. Cheers, Peter. All the best for 2023. Well, there we go. I will wrap it up here, and Happy New Year to you all, and holidays and all that, and enjoy your evening. And for those of you who have already crossed over into next year, how is it? Is it going to be great? See you next week. Cheers.